Welcome everyone for joining tonight. Tonight is part two. This is part two of the Earth ending in 12 years. So before I jump into that, I just want to say to folks that did participate today in the trivia question, which I'm going to mention again later, we did get several participants. I appreciate your feedback and contributing. Those who served with us in the military, thank you very much. But just to reiterate, it is a 16-year bottle of scotch that you'll receive. And again, I'll announce the trivia question later on. As of now, there are no winners. So, friends, family, cohorts, all other guests, attaché, to do. Thank you for joining, and we're going to jump right into it. So, as we mentioned and as we started in part one, this is based on our elected official explaining that the Earth is going to end in 12 years. We don't really know what that means. We don't know if that means that the Earth is going to stop spinning, if it's just going to end like a book, if it's going to fall out of the universe, if it just closes. We really don't know. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that tonight, into part two. We're going to examine that further, a deeper dive. Kind of like a research project. You start with a topical area, then you go into the subtopics, you research questions, and you start to analyze the question, looking at different pieces of literature, different pieces of evidence, case studies. So you're going to look at all kinds of different pieces of evidence and to see if those facts or those claims or that topical area, how it exists, how it doesn't exist, the ontology of it, etc. But before I do that, before we dive deep, I'm not going to replay entire part one for you. But for folks who didn't get to see part one, it's still available on Facebook. If you have trouble finding it, go ahead and post a message tonight into part two, and we'll send you that link, or I can email you the video. But I am going to replay in just a few seconds here the clip that started part one leading into part two. So for those who didn't see it and haven't had a chance to watch it yet, at least you'll see the clip and you'll understand what the basis and the premise of this discussion is about, with the Earth ending in 12 years. So, I mean, we only got 12 years, so I'm going to get going on this pretty quick. We'll be back in a second. Watch the clip. Oh, and for those of you who already saw it, and you got a few seconds, now's a great time. Grab your cocktail, go ahead, mix your rum and coke, your martini, because you're going to need it, because we're going to dive deep, and it's going to get a little aggressive, because we're going to dive deep into it. Tonight's not going to be fun and comedy based like it was in part one. Part two is going deep into the topical area of the Earth ending in 12 years. Watch the clip. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II. And I think for
woman says things that are blatantly untrue, and people applaud her.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
You can't be morally right if you are factually wrong.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
12 years later.
So,
all right, folks, guests, we're back. Hopefully you had a chance to make your cocktail real quick, but we're going to dive deep and we're going to get serious into this. So I'm sure you saw the clips, and I actually added a little bit of extra footage to it. So that'll give you a little bit more meat to work with. So let's talk about this. The Earth is apparently ending in 12 years. and we have the Green Deal coming up. Maybe in all seriousness, she is correct. Maybe she has access to data that we don't. Maybe she's talking with specialists and scientists that we're not seeing or not knowing. But as an elected official, doesn't she have a duty to provide that to us and to explain that to us? If the Earth is truly ending in 12 years, whether it's going to stop. So I believe the Earth is round. I'm pretty sure. So it doesn't. So in that concept, it doesn't really end because it's not flat. It's round. So it's not like everyone's just falling off the edges. At least I don't think. They thought that many years ago, and the moon was made of cheese and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure from NASA and science and all the global warming photos and satellites launching all the rockets up into space to track global warming, the Earth is always round. I haven't seen anything flat yet. It's kind of another conversation, though. So let's just say, for argument's sake, we'll agree with her. Earth is ending in 12 years. It's round. What does that mean? Does it stop spinning and we all fall off? Does it fall out of the solar system? Does all the water go away? Does it just end like a book? You know, how you just kind of close a book? Scientific America, by the way, about the sun and Earth and other planets. So do you just close it and it ends? I mean, I don't know. They're not explaining that. I'd like to know that. Because if the Earth is truly going to end in 12 years, and they keep talking about, like you saw in the clips, and like many leaders talk about, a moral obligation, then don't they have an even bigger moral obligation to figure out how to save the planet in 12 years? We got to start now if it's 12 years. Look at the age of the planet, right? Whether you want to go Bible or you just want to go what science has proven, 1,000,000 years, 20,000 years, 2,000 years. You know, we know there's the 12th century, the 13th century. Heck, you could even, if you wanted to start 16th century, 17th century, Washington, Abraham Lincoln, that whole time frame of when the country was founded, and you want to just say, boop, one day it started in the 1600s, a little bit before the ratification of the Constitution or whatever. You're still talking many hundreds of years, possibly even a few thousand years. However you want to word that and fit that into your own category and agenda. The Sergeant Major used to say sometimes, Sanelli, as an intel analyst, sometimes you gotta look at what's going on over here, and even though there's something over there and you don't see it, you got to put it all together in the analysis. And he was right. And that's what this comes down to. So what is their actual analysis? What are they actually trying to say? Because if an elected official is telling me that the Earth is going to end in 12 years, I'm taking what she says serious. If you pull up the clip that I included today, has a little bit more length to it than the original clip in part 1, because I wanted folks to see more of the discussion, that it's more out of whack than the original one that I put it in the first part. So when you look at it from that perspective, what's actually going to happen? Does she actually know? And if she's an elected official and she's telling us this, but you don't have a plan, don't you have a moral obligation to figure out what that is? Why are you worried about all this other stuff when we're going to die in 12 years and the Earth is going to stop spinning or whatever? Scrap the whole green plan. Get with Elon Musk and SpaceX. Figure out how to start getting us to Mars now, today. We only got 12 years. There's 350 million people in America alone. So even if we can only help Americans and just ship just Americans to another country, another planet, Mars, Moon. Mars would probably be the most habitable, but it is far. They once had an atmosphere on Mars and water. That went away. I think they had a problem with greenhouse gases there too. Not sure why, but they did have an atmosphere. Many scientific NASA talks about that, and it's gone, and they're sending probes there to find out when the atmosphere left and when it was what eroded it and all that stuff. But that's a whole nother topic. I don't want to get into space and aerospace and space travel. That's not the point. The point is, if it's 12 years and we got to leave this planet, we got to start now. So their New Deal and all their other stuff, scrap that. Get rid of it. We got to come up with a plan to get folks to the moon and start inhabiting the moon or Mars. One or the other. Because the Earth's going to stop spinning in 12 years. Or it's going to fall. Or it's going to close like a book. We don't really know. They haven't told us that yet. And that's what we're waiting for. So I've sent an email to their office to find out what the plan is to evacuate the planet. Just like you would do if you're anybody who's ever been in the military and you're on a base and something happens and you got to evacuate, or hurricane, you got to evacuate the area. Heck, we did many hurricanes in Florida, in the Florida National Guard, several in 2004. There was like 3 or 4 hurricanes back to back. Lost some buddies. Not in that hurricane, actually, the one prior in '99 when we went to Miami. Some of them actually, we were down there doing hurricane duty, and they got sick, and one of them was my platoon sergeant, and it's just horrible. But anyways, that's not the point either. I mean, if we gotta go now. We gotta do this now. So we gotta find out. We gotta find out if what she's saying is true or not true. That's the point. If it's true, what are we doing to save the people of Earth? If it's not true, why is she saying it? That's all I'm asking. So, I'm having my last martini, but actually, I pulled some trickery. See, because anybody who knows me really well knows Nick does not order a martini without olives, and he always orders a dirty martini. If I get a martini without olives, I send it back. So what am I actually drinking right now? Could it be water? I don't know. Maybe I'm using trickery. Maybe I'm not telling the truth. But maybe my truth is more moral than the actual accurate facts. Think about that. Or maybe I'm drinking a nice scotch. More trickery. Or perhaps it's just iced tea. You don't really know, do you? Well, just like with her speech, I don't really know if the planet's gonna end in 12 years or not. But I'd really like to freaking know if I only got 12 years to live. Because if I don't, why the hell are you telling everybody that? And why the heck are you comparing this to World War II? America's World War II. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? If you're really serious, you're talking about billions of people dying. Do not compare it to World War II if it's not correct. That's a pretty nasty thing to do to your constituents as an elected official. That's horrible. So we're done with the discussion. There hasn't been a winner yet. So I'm going to go into the closing statements. I appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you so much. This was part 2 of the Earth ending in 12 years. So I've had some folks email me in regards to some questions. So I'm not going to go through those tonight. I'm going to go through those in part 3. We just don't have time tonight. But I'm going to answer some of the text messages and the email questions I got from folks. The purpose of this tonight, part 2, was the Earth ending in 12 years. The questions I received were relating more to tax, and so we'll go ahead and go through those. We're going to get series like 5 and 6 is going to get more into the tax part of her speech, and we do have the full speech for the clips that we played. We have the full speech if you want to watch it. It took place on January 19th. Or the 20th, I believe, 2019. So shoot us a message on either part 2, send me a text and I can get you over that full speech if you want to watch it. And other than that, this is a wrap session. I think we've done good. We've covered a lot. Again, there was no winners. But the bottle of scotch, the 16-year, is still up for grabs. I will give a little hint. So, for those who don't fully know, or you may have known, but just kind of, it was a long time ago. It was 1999 at AT, Camp Blanding. I was a PFC working with Sergeant White, who was an E5 at the time, Sergeant Walter A. White. And Sergeant White kept sending me an email and kept telling me, you got the bleep, bleep, bleep wrong with the part number. And I was like, how could the bleep, bleep, bleep wrong be with a part number? It's just a part number. I don't understand. How does that relate to grammar? And he's like, all right, PFC, I'm sorry, White. I'm going to teach you logistics and all's G. He's like, you referring it to the wrong thing. That bleep, bleep, bleep ain't what you think. It's actually this, and it relates to a nomenclature. I'm out. See ya.